Welcome everybody to our July 14th governing board meeting. Everybody would rise and we'll do our pledge. Laura, would you lead us off, please?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lewis?
Here.
Ms. Peters?
Here.
Mrs. Amadia?
Here.
Mr. McGivern?
Here.
Mr. Osterly?
Wow, full house, I'm here. Okay, next is to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay,
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Peters?
Yes.
Ms. Amadia?
Yes.
Mr. McGivern?
Yeah.
Mr. Osterly?
Yes. Okay, that's the agenda. Call the public.
I don't think there's anyone on the call besides Andrew and Ruth. Anyone else on the line?
Okay, moving right on. Next is approve the meeting minutes from our meeting back on June 9th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for June 9th meeting.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Amadia?
Yes.
Mr. McGivern?
Yes.
Mr. Osterly?
Yes, and that takes us to the superintendent's report. Superintendent Rico.
Okay. I know we've had a long day, so short and sweet for July, not too much to report. But as we launch this academic year, our district embraces a vision without limits under the banner theme to infinity and beyond. So thank you, Mrs. Cuevas, then, for a great theme. This theme is more than a nod to a beloved space ranger. It's a pledge to our students, staff, and community, and that we will refuse to place ceilings on what we can achieve together. Over the coming months, my reports will track our journey. When we work in community, we do not just aim for standard milestones. We propel our entire educational community past traditional boundaries and into a future of limitless possibilities. So our leadership team has worked hard this summer to make sure that we are ready to push our staff and ourselves into the future of limitless possibilities and increasing student achievement. So we thank our board, thank you in advance for your continued support and belief in our team. Again, we will review our mission and vision statement at every meeting, and we did look at it today, so we'll continue to do our work to ensure that we keep our mission and our vision aligned in all the decisions that we make. Enrollment update, our kinder enrollment, we have 51 students, so that means class sizes are currently at 17 with 3 teachers. First to 8th grade, we have 604 registered students. Grades with lower enrollment are kinder, second, third, fourth, and 6th. So we still have students and we have 24 brand new students to Continental this year so far.
Are any of those open enrollments from anywhere else, or do you know?
I have not checked the open enrollment numbers yet with Mrs. Cuevas, so I'll include that in our August report as to how many staff students we have and open enrollment kids as well. We are 100% staffed, which is great news. We have 2 new teachers for middle school language arts. We have Juliet Federico. For middle school science, we have Margarita Wood. So we are super excited to have them come on board, and it really does mean a lot when our grade level teams can start out with a solid team that they've worked with. So that helps us make sure that we can just start where we left off.
So elementary, you had no change in teaching at all?
No.
That's amazing. Good
Yes.
job, guys. Good job.
Yes. SFB update, all our current SFB projects are completed. The new HVAC system has been installed in the middle school, so it has been really cold in there and nice the last week. So you'll get to experience the nice HVAC system this year, so that is huge. The roofing project is completed and only one open project is waiting to be funded, which is the weatherization project. And we should hear about funding in October. And that will be going on year what? With the weatherization 3?
3, 4.
So we're keeping keeping our fingers and toes crossed. Technology update, Mr. Ferguson has been working hard on optimizing his time without staff on campus this summer. So the E-rate fiber backbone upgrade will be happening. The lines are scheduled to be upgraded over fall break, and the upgrade will increase the bandwidth capacity for our local area network. And it'll also better prepare our site for the increasing network traffic demands of the future. We're also getting our IP phones refreshed. So some will be done this year, and then we will work into the next phases for fiscal years 28 and 29 as well. So thank you, Joe. Avid Summer Institute San Diego, this is our team that went to Avid training. So it was a great opportunity for us to collaborate and to look at all things Avid. Mrs. Cuevas and I attended a writing session. Mr. Nathan and Mrs. Suarez attended a session that we thought was going to be more based on social emotional learning, and it was actually more of the role of a counselor in elementary and middle school and high school Avid programs. But they did glean some ideas and insights into things that we can do this year. And Mrs. Nathan, Mrs. Negron, and Mrs. Navarro also attended sessions on elementary implementation. So we're super excited to grow our Avid team and in our training. Pre-service stage, just mark your calendars, board members. Monday, July 27th, 7:45 is all staff and governing board picture. 8 to 10 is our annual all staff breakfast, which is governing board sponsored, and we will have our pre-service days in the gym this year as well. So thank you, and together there is no limit to what we can achieve. Looking forward to another great year. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Excuse me. And so appreciation to the quite the range from the Precision Flow to Robert Polkar Architects, and it's really and I also was sorry. This item B, the discussion of the 529 program design.
So at this time, Mr. Tom, if you can go up to the podium, and we are very fortunate that Green Valley Rotary was thinking about us and in wanting to begin this project of the 529 investment funds, my dream, and we had several conversations during the summer, and I'm just super excited for what our Green Valley Rotarians are willing to do for our families and our community. So I will turn it over to you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, and we're probably even more excited. The Green Valley Rotary has come up with this idea of setting up a savings program for Continental school children, and so that's what I'm here to discuss with you. Now, I'm going to assume, based on a few conversations I've had here, that some of you have some concept of what 529 programs are. So they are basically tax-advantaged investment plans administered by the states. 529 refers to the IRS code that gives it special tax preference. And the tax preference by the IRS is the growth of the funds over the life of it will grow tax-free, and when you withdraw it, you don't have to pay taxes on it. You do pay for the initial investment. I will add also, the state of Arizona has given for Arizona state income taxes a $4,000 a year credit, a deduction. Now, I'm not sure how much that translates to in real tax dollars for people, but for each child, you'll get a $4,000 tax deduction. But that's just on Arizona taxes. So it's tax advantaged in a couple of different ways. And what we're doing is proposing that we're going to add a little more financial incentive in it to make it even a little more attractive. And now, if you go to the next slide, I'm going to give a real quick background on 529s, just to make sure everybody's kind of on the same page. 529 can be used for college expenses, graduate and professional schools. It can now be used for private schools K through 12. That may not be too attractive to Continental students. You can use it for trade schools. You basically can use it for anything post-secondary education. And if you don't use it for any of that, you can roll it over into a Roth IRA after 15 years. So if you take it out when you're age 5, at age 20, you can roll it into a Roth IRA if you don't ever, nobody in your family ever wants to go to school. Next slide. Brief description. The 529s are controlled by the owner. The owner is the person who sets it up. Usually it's a parent or a grandparent. It could be anybody. You can set one up for your neighbor if you're inclined. Roxana down there is counting the number of grandchildren that she's going to set it up for. Okay. So it is controlled by the owner, not by Rotary, not by the state. Once you sign up for a 529 plan, like say your child is 2 years old, you sign them up, the parent or the grandparent, whoever set it up, owns that in terms of making all the future decisions on it. It can be, they grow tax-free from federal income taxes. The account earnings these are usually invested with the states in very high-grade investment opportunities where you can make good returns on safe investments. This isn't some fly-by-night thing. You don't want to invest it in a savings account if you're investing something for 18 years. So, the last item is interesting. It's transferable to relatives. Let's say you set up one for your daughter. It turns out your daughter decides not to go to school. You can transfer it over to any relative of your daughter. When I say any relative, that can be her brother. It could be her parents going back to school. It could be cousins. So that gives it a lot of flexibility. When you put $1,000 in, it could end up in a lot of different places, including a Roth IRA. Next one. This one isn't coming out so good, but the concept is there. This is a typical sort of investment thing. If you put in the yellow bars, this didn't come out very well. If you put in $1,000 a year for 18 years, starting at birth, you put in $1,000 a year, you get a normal sort of rate of return. After 18 years, you will have contributed $18,000, and at about a 10% compound rate, which is not unreasonable, you'd have $52,000.
In 18 years.
And if you started at age 0 when a child was born, and 18 years would be when you started college, typically. And you say, well, that's a lot. I will just tell you personally, the last number of years have been very good. Our family, I won't go into all the details, but we set it up 12 years ago for 5 different people, some of whom weren't born yet, they were born later. It was a family trust. We've put in $170,000 into it. It is now worth $540,000, and the first kid is still 6 years away from going to college. So now, the stock market was good during those years. Okay, can't guarantee that, but that's you get those sorts of growths in this thing. Now, let's talk about our dream, my dream. You notice we've named this the My Dream program. What this program is really about isn't just an investment program. It's about how do we take the dreams of our kids, our parents, our grandparents, and turn those into the reality of the American dream, if you will, or at least giving them a good start. So this program is going to be, that's what we thought we should do. And we're going to do it, and we chose this school as who we would do it with. And we're going to try and set it up. Now let me describe what that, okay. Wow. Somehow, it didn't look that way on paper. That's okay, we got the point. We're trying to turn some dreams into reality. We're also facilitating planning for the child's education. This will give some discipline to parents as they go through this over a period of years. Discipline savings, and that's one of the things we're trying to do. It relieves them of a lot of financial hardship when it comes time to go to college, and most importantly, it allows the students maybe to enter adulthood without overwhelming debt. I think we all have relatives that are sorely burdened, and that's why nowadays, instead of getting your first home at age 28, which is in my time, that was the average, now your first home is age 40. Why? A lot of it has to do with student debt. There's some other things contributing to that, but that's what we're trying to avoid. Now, next one, let's see how this one comes out. My dream, keep dropping down there. What we're gonna do is we're gonna try and promote signups for individual 529 accounts. This is a group program. We're setting up a program, but each and every child or parent that signs up is signing up for an individual 529, just like you did if you were just doing it out in the open market. It's no different than that. We're just facilitating the sign up and adding a little bit of incentive to it. And we're gonna try and make it readily available. We're working this out with the Utah 529 program, which is very good. They will make it administratively almost seamless. You'll have your own sign-up site. They do on these programs, about 75% of the children are signed up online, and it's increasing. They make it very easy to sign up. So that's the whole idea, is we'll get as many as we can signed up. Now, as a practical matter, we couldn't start the whole school with this incentive program, all K through 8, all at once. We'd go broke. Okay, so what we've kind of budgeted and figured out, what we're gonna do is every year offer the incentives to kindergartners. And then over a period of time, they will, if they sign up as a kindergartner, they will be in the program and working towards college. The next year, a new batch of kindergartners. So it's, now, we may be able to expand on that a little bit, but we kind of have to see how it goes. But that's the idea. We will make, since we're gonna have a sign-up portal, every student in the school can sign up in the first year. They're just not gonna get the incentives.
And the incentives only apply to grades 1 through 5? Years 1 through 5?
The matching that we'll set up is gonna be in the early years. What we're trying to do is say, get them into the program, get them in the process of making contributions, and hopefully by year 5, if we gave them incentives all the way through it, frankly, it'd be way too expensive, but if we can get them in the habit of doing it, we've got them on the path. We have some other ideas about after year 5, about possibly giving them some other sorts of incentives. This is 5 years away from that, but maybe if they hit a certain GPA, we throw money in. Or if they turn out for athletic teams, or if they have good attendance. You can create little bonus features like that for after year 5. But that's kind of down the road. Okay, we will be offering it to all students. We expect 20 to 25 new accounts per year, new signups. Now, I just saw that there's 50 some, I was kind of counting for 60 or 70 kindergartners, so we'll see how that goes over time. And we are designing it to encourage and to give extra incentives to low-income children, low-income families. Now, next slide. Here's this behind Dream. It does say draft program. I must tell you, this program we've been working on it at Rotary. The board has given us a go-ahead up to a certain point. This Friday is the final approval vote. So that's why I call it a draft program. I don't foresee any problem with that, but hey, you never know. But no, I'm sure it's gonna fly. And we've been working hard at tweaking it over the past, and anyway, here's there's gonna be kind of 3 tiers to it. We'll call it the basic tier, which is gonna be the full income families. I don't know what else to call it. We're gonna call it basic. They would get a matching in the first year that's 50% of whatever they put in, up to our maximum contribution of $200 for everybody that's, we'll call it normal income. And we're gonna work on, basically are they in the lunch program or not? I think it's gonna be how that's gonna be. We're not trying to invent some new income standards. If you're in the lunch program, you're in the second one, which we call the enhanced. We finally came up with the word enhanced. It means enhanced benefit. Okay. That's the low income. They'll get 100% matching, but still at the 200 max. years 2 through 5, at this point, we're not willing to say, we have some projections. We've done some projections, but we're not really willing to commit to that yet. They might be more liberal in the future, or we might have to pare them down. It kind of depends on a lot of things. So at this point, there is a commitment to do something in years 2 through 5, not for the basics, but for the enhanced group. And you notice that last line down there? Teacher and staff. That's something that, I won't tell you exactly how that came about, but somebody made a comment about her 6 grandchildren. And that
7.
triggered 7 now?
Yes, there's 7.
I won't mention names. Okay. But that triggered us to thinking, why aren't we offering this to the children or the grandchildren of teachers and staff? And they deserve it.
We have a lot of staff kids on campus.
Yeah.
So
Now, we have,
a lot of our staff.
by the way, just so we're clear right now, we've kind of restricted it in the first year, being teachers and administrative staff and counselors and that, not groundskeepers yet. We're just not sure that we have that much money or, so we're kind of going cautious on that. The reason, by the way, we thought that was a really good idea, I'm glad that somebody had a lot of grandchildren, was that's gonna be the first rollout, actually. Right at the start of the program, hit the teachers and the counselors and the administrative staff, because they'll end up being our best ambassadors to get people to sign up. So it's kind of selfish in a way, but they deserve it. They will get something slightly less than the enhanced, but more than the regular. And anyway, so that's, next slide. We're getting there. We've done some financial projections, and I won't bore you with all of our financial projections, but this is the sort of pattern that we would see of number of new students over a period of time. And I guess I can't really go up there, but what we're really counting on is that the basic and enhanced, in other words, students will get about 25 kindergartners in the first year. I think, I've always kind of thought we're gonna have a harder time getting participation in the early years than later years. You gotta get the ball rolling a bit. And now that I hear there's 52 kindergartners, maybe we might want to think about throwing in first graders this year. Let's talk about that, okay? We might do that to get a bigger starting role. But the idea is we'll be adding about 25 new children every year. Staff and teacher, we see a big enrollment in the first year because staff tends to, once you get them enrolled, you got 2 new teachers coming in. They would be eligible in the subsequent years, but pretty much that's an upfront sort of thing. We see that as 40 matching scholarships in this first year, and that just accumulates over the years as you add class after class after class. Having said and I will say that, without boring you with the details, we think that this will cost Rotary, just so you know, our projection is it's going to cost us about $8,000 in that very first year. And as it rolls up over the years, we think it's going to be in the about $17,500 a year. The $15,000 to $20,000 range is going to be what we're going to put out. As more and more of them come on, remember, we're only matching for 5 years. They start to drop off in terms of matching. So that's why it kind of peaks out at that. So that's our commitment to it. We'll see how that goes. So who are the partners? Continental School. Basically, what the school does is they promote it to the parents, and they will be involved in the sign-up process. The sign-up process is designed, we're going to do everything we can to make it as easy as you can. It'll be online. We'll have QR codes that if you just do this QR code, it goes to the right portal in Utah, that sort of thing. We're hoping to make that we're not trying to add a lot of administrative burden to the school. We're very sensitive to that. Rotary, we've pretty much designed the program concept We have already coordinated and kind of set up things with Utah, the Utah 529 program, which is really the best one in the country. If you're looking to sign up your kids, sign them up in Utah, I tell you. We'll assist in, obviously, in the initial sign up, and then after that, we're pretty much in the funding thing as things go on. So it's not a super burden on us, which ought to give you some comfort that we're not going to wear ourselves out over the years and say, this is too much effort. But we will be committed to the funding. Utah 529, you can read all that stuff. They're the ones doing the heavy lifting. They have all the computer programs. They have everything. They, by the way, some might say, why did you choose Utah instead of Arizona? Arizona doesn't have a group program like this. Utah is kind of the leaders in that. They have, I think now, 39 programs spread across 15 states. And they are good at this. They have a whole department just doing these group programs and designing them. So that's it. I probably exceeded my 10 minutes, didn't I?
Okay, you did good. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much.
Any questions? Or,
So, and I just want to share with the group that we'll be needing to discuss once the vote is final. We will, we've talked about having Rotary come for meet and greet or come to our group breakfast to talk to our parents. If we're not ready by that time, we'll schedule some meetings later on, but our timeline is hopefully looking like October, November is what we had preliminarily discussed, to have a time here where parents can come sign up and we meet in the community room to facilitate.
things like this are always kind of slower than you think getting off the ground. I mean, would have liked it to be available on the first day of class, but.
Right, since it's new, but we just truly appreciate you thinking about us, and I think, like we were saying with our Avid and college and career readiness, and really talking to our parents and students about going to college, and the fact that the funds can be used for trade or for whatever, and can be transferred into NIRA afterwards. And one thing that we discussed is once the adult makes the plan, that plan will be whether you're a Continental student or not, because we talked about some of our kids leave, but that plan goes with them wherever, whether they
Yes.
continue here or not. So it's not tied to being at Continental.
And I'll just add, the children or grandchildren of staff and teachers don't have to be enrolled here. They're probably going to be enrolled in Arizona, unless its grandchildren could be in Maine.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be. So there's,
Yes.
that I think is, even if it only ends up being teachers, that's a great thing.
But I think the awareness, right, because a lot of us have thought about it, but thinking about college debt that we've had.
They don't know how to.
Right, don't know how to do
Don't
it.
know how to do it.
Yeah, we're-
So you're just being the tool for them to do something they probably wanted to do to begin with.
And they've put off, I mean, if they're in the 6th grade now, they've been, either hadn't thought about it, they got a lot of things to worry about these days. And now we're just gonna say, you can just sign up. By the way, Utah doesn't require any sign-up initial amount. You just sign up. That's why we, by the way, originally on this, as you know, Roxanne, we were originally gonna say, we're gonna have a, what do we call it, not a matching, but a seed money. Well, that would just get in the way of the sign-up. It actually takes away from the streamlined sign-up that we're shooting for. And we're still matching in year 1, right from the get-go, so.
Yes, thank you. So
Okay.
we appreciate it, and
Thank you.
we look forward to further conversation.
You and I will be
Let us
talking.
know how it goes on Friday.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
And with that, we'll do our transportation
Good evening, amazing school board. Thank you for hearing us out just one more time today. I want to introduce to you Luke Hardy. He is the transportation coordinator. And so I'm going to let him kind of kick this off today, as this is his first time up here presenting in front of you all. And I'll be here to support him as needed.
Evening, everyone. Glad to see everybody. Glad to be here. So we're going to summarize the 25-26 transportation school bus year, and go over a few things, and then touch base on the new year coming up. So first slide is transportation summary for 25-26 school year. The budget versus actuals. Allocated budget total, $740,504 used, 82% of allocated budget. Original budget for maintenance and repairs was $49,682. Actual was $72,545.11. Contingency funds built into the transportation budget were used to cover the coverage, the overage. I want to touch base on.
Are there any questions on that part so far? We kind of covered a lot of that today already, so I think we're.
So you didn't use 100% of the budget, but you had to go for an overage? Right,
So
100%. We only used 82%. The contingency fund was to cover.
Greg, do you want to speak to this? So this is, we're working on being more transparent with one another. So up until this was prepared, last board meeting, remember, Mr. Schubert expressed the budget and said that we went over budget. I was not aware we had a budget. And so, and I've asked for that. And so now we got that. So because we're just getting into that, I'm going to let Greg kind of speak to that.
So their original budget for the entirety of transportation, so salaries, benefits, repair work, software, and everything else, that's the $740,000 amount. Now, they originally had a budget within that $740,000 of $49,682, which was meant for repair work. They went over that budget, and they had actually spent $72,545. But since we built contingency into the transportation budget, those funds were available in order to cover what they had done over that smaller portion of their budget.
Okay, so they went over the $49,000.
Correct.
Okay, that's, okay, I see, thank you.
In that one area
And that-
where, because we've got, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, but we've
Got it,
got drug testing, we've got
When I saw
glass repairs, tire
82%,
repairs.
when I saw 82% and then you needed an overage to be covered, I was a little confused, okay.
That would still mean we have money left over.
Correct.
Okay. So the key win, the maintain and improve fleet reliability, increase driver pay to a competitive amount, minimize service disruptions, and maintain safe and dependable transportation services throughout the school year while trying to remain within the overall transportation budget.
And we want to thank the board for helping us with that. Once we increase the driver pay, not only the training pay to 16, and then the driver starting off pay to 1950. And we had 2 drivers that came back and started driving for us that had stepped out to sub-driving. And then once we made that change immediately, they came back on as drivers. And so it was a little rocky at the beginning of the year, if you recall. And so we were able to finish out the year where myself, I was not driving fourth quarter. And so that was fantastic. And also Luke was able to be here in the afternoon supporting the drivers on the radio from the office and resolving any conflicts or child issues or parents walking in. As our secretaries would leave, he would still be in the front so he could still assist them with school things. And so that really panned out well for us by the end of the year. So thank you again for your guys' support and those increases in wages for those bus drivers.
Yeah. On the topic of the key win, we addressed the several deferred repairs, things that have to do with a lot of maintenance that accumulated over time. So our buses are sitting really, really well now since I came in January. So we're ready to go. We've changed out hot brakes and glazed brakes and windows,
Lots of AC repairs.
brake shoes, AC repairs. Some of the buses that are AC repaired, their ACs weren't working in them. So they've all been fixed. Yes, it cost a little extra because it was tubing within the bus that had to be replaced, which is a pretty complex job. They have to remake all the lines. But the Freon was recharged and so all the kids will be, it's gonna be hot in August, so that was one of my main factors in getting that completed. And appreciate it that we were able to do that. And, including all that, we also taking care of the district vans. We're having them service. The teachers and faculty are always going out. Tires, service vans are safe and ready to go, including our buses. And I just want to say these efforts increase the reliability and availability of our fleet, improve safety, student safety, reduce the likelihood of unexpected breakdowns, and ensure that spare buses are ready for service when needed. Although maintenance expenditures exceeded the original maintenance budget, contingency funds within the overall transportation budget covered the additional costs, allowing us to complete these critical repairs while remaining within the department's total allocated budget. So budgets or the buses are sitting really, our fleet is good. Things like, the only things will be coming up for next year will probably just keep up with the PMs or preventative maintenance like oil changes and stuff like that. So a lot of this stuff is taken care of, we won't see it next year.
And the last bullet point with primary challenges, we already talked about the first two, so I'm not gonna bore you with those facts, but the improving maintenance efficiency and maintaining a reliable spare bus fleet would really work with Velocity to improve that relationship, both with our preventative maintenance or PMs, oil changes, air filters, things of that nature, but also bringing that price down. So Luke and I were able to have a meeting with them. They brought their heads of all the departments down. We spoke with them and they were charging us, I want to say, $167-ish around there for a service to come out here. And after that conversation of us explaining we're a small district, we really need their help. I want to say they've brought that down to like $98, $120. And then also we have the ability, which we did before, to take our buses up there, and then they will use free Uber essentially and get our driver back, which will take that 120 off the table, period. And so it's a great way. If we have one bus that needs to be repaired, we're gonna start doing that. If we have two or three, we're gonna have the mobile mechanics still come out. But we got that rate down significantly to help with those costs as well.
Next slide.
That's it.
That is the next one.
You want
Oh, that's a bit, oh, I'm sorry.
to talk about your drivers?
Yeah, okay, so current staffing for right now is we got 3 full-time drivers, 4 part-time drivers, and 4 substitutes.
On the substitute part, I just want to throw in there that seems like we've got tons of subs. Remember, that's Lupita, Roxanne in the kitchen, and myself are 3 of those 4. So just be aware, it looks like, oh, they're doing great. It's still the people that have been pitching in and driving that got us through not only this year, but many years going back. So without Lupita and Roxy, it would have been really hard for us to provide a reliable transportation. And so they're always awesome and willing to help out. So
Total fiscal year 26 salaries and benefits, $296,482 on a budget of $310,106. Overtime expenditures, $14,076.65.
to explain those, we really try not to use overtime with our drivers and any of our staff, but it becomes difficult. For example, the 2 ladies I just thanked from the kitchen, every time they get behind the wheel, they are overtime because they are working in the kitchen on the regular hours. And so we're hoping, this upcoming year, we've got a really good group of drivers. And we're hoping that we need to use them less and less. So we hope to see a great reduction in that overtime expenditures due to the hard work of our trainers training up new drivers. We had another interview yesterday for another bus driver that we're looking at bringing on as a sub. But if we ever have a vacancy, we can plug them into those normal positions.
But that $14,000 is part of the 296.
Yes, ma'am. It's included on that.
So, fully staffed, you'd be at how many drivers?
That's a great question. So up there, we're calling us that with what we're doing right now, we're fully staffed to be able to do what we did this year. However, it's been requested by the board that we look at adding additional routes that go into the south border of Sarita and pick up some of our open enrollment kiddos. And at this point, I've been unable to do that for you because I don't have those drivers. So what we're doing is bringing them on as sub-drivers, getting them trained and ready to go. And then when we're ready, we can look at adding those routes. If you remember 2 years ago, we actually had to take one route out because we didn't have enough drivers. We have enough buses, but not enough drivers. We're not back to that yet. So at the start of the school year, I think we're getting back to that point with what we have right there. And so when it says 3 full-time drivers, just to explain, those are our drivers that are on campus all day long. And some of them have other duties. For example, Luke is one of those. He also is the transportation coordinator. Lorenzo is one of those. He's the lead custodian and does custodial duties throughout the day and maintenance duties throughout the day as well. And then the other driver, the third one, is Luz, and she does like the preschool and the routes during the day that require coming and going because they have alternate day schedules all throughout. And so that's kind of what those 3 full-time, 6 to 8 hour a day employees. The other ones, we call them part-time. I don't look at them as part-time. They're driving full-time for us. But they do their 2 hours in the morning and their 2 hours in the afternoon. They're covering that route. So that's what those 4 are. Is that clarified?
Yeah, absolutely.
Benefit cost trends. Drivers who are 30 hours per week are eligible for health insurance. The current cost of health insurance is $7,200 per year. The district provides health insurance to 3 full-time drivers. Fun, this is fun. Okay, so the cost of driver training recruitment, cost per trainee to break down to get one driver through the pipeline. Cost comparison, traditional CDL schools versus on-campus CDL training. Trainer is paid hourly at their regular rate. Permit licensing fees, background checks are paid by the employee. It is $65 for a printer's card. Hourly rate for trainee is $16. So all of our bus drivers candidates successfully complete the DOT written exam before they're on the paid bus driver training program.
And so just to clarify, that's a change this year compared to years past. It used to be that we would bring a driver on, we would hire them, you would approve them, then we would have them come sit here, we would have them do classwork and study, and then they'd go take those tests. They're required to do the written tests. And what we found is some of them struggled with the test, and we put money into them, and they never got past that point. And so what we've now done is we do an interview with them, and then we say, we're gonna hire you contingent on you produce those, the ADOT tests that you've passed. And then when they come with those in, then we bring them to you, you approve them, we put them on the payroll, and then we start the classroom training. So we're not spending weeks of them sitting there studying. We've seen people study for 2 months and not be ready to take the test or fail the test. We've seen people go on their spending 2 days studying and go past the test. So there's no rhyme or reason. If it was just everyone was 2 days and they passed, then we'd pay them for that. But we found that it's just too big of a risk for the district. And so we've kind of changed how we operate that. It's been working really, really well. We had a candidate that we were looking at hiring She went and took the test, failed, and said, it's not for me, I'm not interested in this, and she's out. We lost no money.
Yeah. And as a result for all this, we've had 100% driver success rate. Everybody who's went through our program here on campus has gone through 100% pass.
Which all that is not easy because they have to do their driving test last, which includes parallel parking and things of that nature in a school bus.
They passed the 90-day probationary period.
Is there backup cameras and those things?
Some of them do not. Also, some of them do, some do not. And we have 2 in-house trainers. Luke's one of those, and Robert Milish is the other one.
All right, just real quick, this process demonstrates that our investment for driver training is being used effectively while also helping to develop safe, qualified, and competent school bus drivers who are prepared to serve our students and community. And how much does it cost to get a CDL license? Okay, so cost comparison. A typical accredited commercial driver's license training program includes several required expenses such as the DOT, the physical examination, which is $100 to $150. The learner's permit is $25. Fingerprint clearance is $65, and then behind the wheel training consisting of approximately 14 hours of classroom and 20 hours of driving. And when the tuition and associated fees are included, the total cost to obtain a CDL through accredited training school generally ranges from $37 to $7,500. And they do come to the school, asking for me to talk to me about that, and we have conversations. And, we have our training program here. So.
We've also found by having our own training program, they're using our buses, they're getting to know our bus drivers, they're getting to know
our routes.
And so there's, once they have their CDL, literally the next day we can put them on the route and they're ready to go versus having an external source trainer.
Yeah, so in comparison to the CDL training that we do here, all this included the exam and the learner's permit. This is a approximate 4 hours per day for 2 month, 8-week period. The trainee is about $2,800. And then the trainer, the same amount of time for 8-week training period is $3,200. So it's a combined total of $6,000. So while providing participants with accessible structured on-campus instruction, so it's just nice here training here and doing our routes and stuff. Did I do that? Yeah, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna cover maintenance and operational fleet costs. Preventative maintenance, which is the PMs, which I talked about. Versus reactive repairs, right? So we really have dealt with, as Greg has pointed out, with a lot of just things that had been neglected, not taken care of, like AC units. And so there was a lot of that we're really caught up in our buses are looking really good. The attached maintenance and repair breakdown does not include fuel or tires. Tire expenditures were $18,064.20. The fuel budget performance, this has been kind of a crazy year. I know that we talked a little bit about this earlier, but we filled up our large tank 3 times this year. And so those are the prices per gallon was $3.44 the first time, $3.20 the second time, and it jumped to $5.76 to finish us out the year. So hopefully we see a decrease in fuel prices going into next school year. And then we purchased 11,247 gallons. Your unleaded cost was $3.28 per gallon, and purchased 835. And we only did that, we did that one time. So the reason why you see that big difference is every day we've got the diesel buses going out. As far as regular fuel, we just have 3 vehicles and lawnmowers, things of that nature, that are running off that, so that we don't go burn through that as quickly. We have the 2 school vans and the school pickup truck that use most of that on. fleet aging index, I know this is where we had a lot of questions, and so I'm gonna take a little bit more time on this one. We have, if you see our buses out on the road, usually it'll say like 05-1, so just be aware of that. That's how many miles we're on that. So 16,000, which is for a diesel engine, is extremely low. So we're doing well there. We have 3 from 2013, that's where the current miles are on those. And then 1 from 2014, and then 1 from 2018, and then 1 from 2019, and then 1 from 2020, and 3 from 2021, and 1 from 2023. Okay, and then we have 2 currently not in use, which is 2010 and 2008. 2010 is the one that you guys have already approved for auction, that the buyer backed out, and we're back to putting it up on auction to get that one sold off, the big one sitting in the back that at this point does not move. And then the 2008, we've been working with Velocity to work on the back axles and the brakes. And we're working on getting new quotes because the quote that we got a couple years ago was astronomically high. They've come back way lower at this point, and so we're looking at fixing that one. The advantage to that is a handicap bus that is the short with the truck front on the front of it that you see in the back there, but it does have a wheelchair access. One of the hardest things that we're seeing with growth of our district is the special education department. A couple years ago, we only ran 1 bus. We currently run 2 full-time buses. If one of them were to go down, we do not have a backup to put in place for that currently. We're very fortunate where none of our students at this time are in need of a wheelchair, so we're actually not using those. But the buses are lower to the ground and more accessible for kids just stepping on those handicap buses. So just be aware of that. As far as there's been a lot of questions about, we just made our final payment on our 5 buses and finished our lease, and what is our need gonna look like in the future? Just being straightforward, the next bus that we're gonna need to buy is a full-size special education bus, because one of our buses, the one with the most miles up there, 2013 is our special education bus that gets the most use. So we anticipate that at some point, we're gonna wanna pull that one. It is a spare and put a newer one back out there. And so that's kind of our hopes there. One of the other things that we've really been looking at is the buses that we bought. They're called C2s. All 5 of them were C2s. They only carry about 72 passengers. And because of Midway Highlands, we think we can work more efficiently by going to like the 84 passenger and possibly combining 2 routes onto that if we had a larger bus to do that. And so I'm thinking the special education bus in like 2 to 3 years, and then the larger one a year or 2 after that, just to help you understand. The big risk to that Greg talked about is every year you can expect to pay 10 grand more than the previous year for the trends that we're seeing. And that big bus that we're talking about, the sticker price on that right now is what, 240?
240, but that was for a non-sped bus.
Yeah, correct, that's the big one, not the non-sped bus. The sped buses are smaller, but they're actually almost as expensive because of all the equipment that comes with them, the handicap wheelchair ramp. Jacks those prices up fairly higher than the typical C2s that we have.
You need to get the gently used ones that we did for those 5.
Those weren't gently used.
Well, they had some on them.
No.
No, all 5 of those were school districts had ordered them.
Yeah, I knew that was something.
And what happened was COVID hit, and they canceled all their orders, but the company had them sitting in their lots, and they came to us and made a sweet deal that Greg couldn't resist, and Ms. Rico agreed, and you guys agreed as a board, and bought us those 5 with the agreement. The company was just trying to get them out, and so they gave us that 5-year lease to own essentially, which was a great thing for us because back then all of our buses, I mean, we were running 1996 was our oldest one that we were running every single day. It was well over 250,000 miles on it.
Is the warranty up on those newer ones?
They are, yes, sir. I want to say that as soon as we hit this 5th year. There's still some components on them, but the majority of it is not.
Drive trains and things like that that have longer warranty.
Before you switch that 2005 bus,
Link?
Go ahead, Steve.
two questions. One is the average miles on the normal buses you use every day. And then it seems odd that a 21-year-old bus only has 16 miles on it, 16,000 miles on it.
Yeah. That's a 2005, only has 16,000
Yeah.
miles.
Is that a regular bus or?
It's a Bluebird. It's one of the bigger, it holds like 84 students. And it's got the cat built motor in it, and it's just hums, it's just healthy. It doesn't have an AC in it, so we don't use it
Is
anymore.
that why it only has 16,000 miles?
So, yeah, the school, I was here before I asked, so somewhere, pick that up. So, yeah, it's a really nice from the bus.
I want to say it's one that we got used great back in the day before you came in. I think that's one that I picked up.
How much put it, there's a big bus?
Because it had low miles and we picked it up for that. So we don't, most of our buses, the special education buses, rack up miles pretty fast. The normal fleet ones, because we just go to Madeira Islands back with the majority of our buses, it doesn't rack up very quickly. We have one bus that we see a lot of more miles go on besides the sped bus, and that's the bus that goes to Montana Vista and then out to Elba. And so, that route overall is well over an hour long and does that twice a day. And so that one gets miles quick and it's rough roads as well. So we see the maintenance on that bus specific have a lot more needs because of vibrations of the roads going down Elba.
Steve, would it behoove us to look at putting an AC into that 2005
It-
bus?
To put AC in them, it's usually pretty expensive. We could obviously have a quote. I couldn't imagine what the bill would be. You're probably
We need a whole new system.
You're probably better off going and buying a used bus with AC for less than what they would install it. And the reason why I say that is he's on maintenance right here. So help me find it. Greg, where are we at?
Which one are you looking for?
The AC repairs.
Failed AC.
And then another failed AC.
There you go. So, you look at the differences with.
I never had
Yeah. So here, you got the
Drew
594.
says he never has AC.
He's seen his tractors.
Yeah.
You have AC in
I
your
never had
tractors.
AC, my neighbor Continental, never one, but.
Oh, okay.
So that horse you had to come in.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Times have changed, Mr. McKibben.
so the failed AC, that's 598, and then down here, it's 1100, and you're like, why such a big difference? One is they're recharging the Freon, and the other one, they're having to redo the lines all the way down. So when you see that discrepancy, I want you to understand that.
Could you sell the bus that has no AC?
So you can auction them off, but the truth of the matter is, when we auction off, we're gonna get anywhere from $500 to $5,000 if we're lucky.
That's a brand new bus though.
It's far from brand new being that old. It's got low miles. So what we've seen, what happens usually is individuals from other countries come up here and buy them for dirt cheap and take them. Because it has low miles and it works, we use it as a backup bus for us. I would keep it as a backup bus. It holds a lot of kids and we are using it.
They could use it if they had to
Yeah,
without air.
Even if it's 100 degrees, there's no law that says we can't use it. We will use it if we have to. Miss Rico made a commitment about 6 years ago to never buy another school bus without AC because we had parents come to a board meeting and doing calls to the public. And so we try to respect that and we use the buses with AC as much as we can. There are times that we have to use the other bus and we do. So I wouldn't sell it off because it's a fully functioning good bus. And we're just not gonna get what it's worth. Does anybody have any other questions? This is just velocity. So there's a lot of questions about velocity, also known as Bus West. They switched names halfway through the year. So earlier today, what's the name, Greg? That was Freightliner is what you saw earlier on the report. The company switched hands a couple of times throughout the last few years. They do most of our maintenance. They don't do it all. For example, we also use Dwight Auto Glass, which we spent $2,200 on this year for glass repairs. You know, things like chips, rock chips in the window, we're not allowed to operate the bus with those sorts of things in it, so it's got to be replaced immediately. And then Luna Auto, we spent just over $1,500 this year. They're the ones that do our white fleet, so maintaining the school vans, the truck, doing the oil changes, things like that. So just so you're aware on that.
Batteries. And, yeah, bus has 2 to 3 big batteries.
So to work on our mitigation for costs, the district is currently using route optimization software and bulk fuel purchasing to help. And you can see as we bought that second time we purchased was huge because it got us through a long time when the prices were high and we were doing really well off of owning our own fuel and having that in bulk. In the future, we are looking at taking buses to Tucson. I already talked about that to save money on there. Upcoming capital requests in the district will prepare to replace aging buses during the fiscal year 29 as vehicles reach the end of their useful service life. The current cost of buses today are between $185 and $265. We can't talk about that. Let's skip down. What does this cost mean for the students and families? Approximately 1,250 students daily deliveries are provided while on district buses. I want to clarify this. We don't have that many students, so it means if I get picked up at my house and come here, that's 1. If I get picked up at school and taken home, that's 2 for the same student. So, but including the high school students, activity bus, we're transporting that many routes is what we're doing with kids. So, and that's including, of course, our lovely preschool as well are added to that number. And that's average daily. Okay. The one thing before we take questions that we want to talk about is Luke and I had the privilege of going to TAA, which is a transportation conference in Arizona. We went up to Flagstaff for 4 days and we learned a lot. It's the first time that I've been a transportation coordinator that we've been able to go up there. My biggest takeaways for me personally is we got to meet highway patrol and the DPS and public safety workers that make all the decisions that affect our school. So making those connections with those individuals that when we have our driver gets in a rough spot, we have to work through that. We had that opportunity to have that relationship with them. We also learned just some, I know we've had conversations in the past about seatbelts in buses. California's just passed a law that all students have to be in a seatbelt to be able to be on a school bus. Arizona, that was in the legislature and it failed. It didn't go through. So we're gonna carry on as we are. Huge cost saving. Can you imagine setting and having all of our buses have to be fitted with seatbelts? And then the other big law that hasn't passed yet, but it's looking like it's going to, even this school year, is right now all buses are required to stop at railroad crossings. Just transparency, since I've been in this position, 3 of our buses have been struck while stopped at railroad crossings. So I'm highly against it. I think it's safer to use your momentum, go through the tracks, rather than stop for no reason, look left and right, and then someone runs in the back of you because they're not paying attention, which has happened all 3 times. They are changing the law slightly, where if the bus is empty, the driver will not have to stop at the railroad tracks. If the bus is occupied, it will still have to stop at the railroad tracks. So that's the current law that they're looking at. And I think they're trying to baby step it in to get it gone all completely, but that's where we're at this point. So I would say those are my key takeaways. What was your key takeaway?
Well, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. So glad I went and mentioned that when I got back. But yeah, appreciate being able to go up. Yeah, it was a very structured event. Just learned a lot through, learning that motivations, speakers, and just kids matter and schools matter, and just motivating us. To, school bus drivers are important. I sat through TSO briefings and they had vendors and just met all sorts of new, exciting people. And, I say network, but, you get cards and phone numbers, but yeah, I had a great time with Mr. Lathan. Yeah, looking forward to next year too. But you do learn a lot.
And I appreciate you going because it does, building those, relationships with the vendors and being able to have those conversations with them to personalize our need and our costs. And I think Mr. Lane has really been essential in helping us also learn and grow in our capacity of how we can better operate and get good deals. And I know that he paid for one of his company paid for one of the registrations.
Okay. But West paid for his tuition for the conference.
Yes, so.
Thank you so much.
And to that note, just by being there, we rubbed shoulders with Sarita quite a bit that week. And we were talking about each other's problems and struggles. And a lot of our cameras are out on our buses. They really help with the behavior side of things. We do not have the program, and Velocity does not have the program to fix those. And Sarita offered to fix all of those because they have the program at their school. And their lead mechanics just give me a call and bring them over, and I'll reprogram them all for you. So those connections, at cost free, right? So that's just, we'll do this for you because you're a neighbor. And so it was great. That in of itself will pay for itself when we fix all those down cameras. So
Thank you.
The majority of them work, but we have a few that we're gonna see what we can do.
any questions?
So do we have a savings plan for in the
Or a savings
3 to
plan.
5 to 7 years?
Our savings plan is that we're going to save for the next 2 years. We're thinking that's going to be our savings because in year 3, fiscal year 29, we'll have to invest in.
In all transparency, right, it's about fixing the carryover budget first. So we're gonna make do with what we have for the next couple of years, 2 to 3 years, to allow us to fix that carryover budget, correct, Greg? And then after that, that's when we're gonna look at, we'll need a big chunk, if not close to all of it, of that capital for a year to buy a bus, and we'll still be okay with where we're at. So like I said, we're not putting crazy miles on our buses because we're just going down the hill. You asked earlier, I don't think we answered it, but what's the average miles put on the bus a day? It's probably close to between 24 and 35 for most of our buses.
And I drove the routes, before a week was about 500 miles. So, yeah.
Maybe we'll get some rich community member who will say that, leave us in their endowment fund to save for buses and transportation.
There are a lot of grants out there for buses right now. To get buses, I'm not crazy excited about it because there's all these little hidden loopholes we learned about at the conference. So they're now going to electric buses. You remember a few years back, the propane buses were big, and now it's electric buses. And they're like, we'll give you these buses, and then when we started looking into it, then you have to build the charging stations, which cost a ton of money, like the equivalent of us buying like 6 of the diesel buses. So if you live in California, they're all switching over to those, but here in Arizona, it hasn't taken off yet.
I feel like there's Haven that owns every bus in Arizona, and as a school, we lease the bus.
Yeah,
They have no space to repair or replace.
so there is companies that do that where they have companies that rent buses. They do it because they make money on districts. And from what we've looked into it in the past, and it costs more than what we were paying to operate ourselves. Keep in mind, we really didn't talk much about this, but the state gives us money based off of mileage and student headcount on the buses. So Greg, can you talk a little bit more about how that works?
So we get funding based upon how many miles that we put on our buses every year. And believe it or not, the number of miles per year can change drastically from year to year. Just simply because we're not taking as many field trips, the field trip mileage gets put in there. Maintenance mileage gets put in there. So, if we have a lot of maintenance, they're taking the buses out on test drives. Those mileage gets added in there. So we basically, we get, what is it, $1 something per mile that we put on our buses. I'd have to look and see what the exact number is. But depending on how many miles we put on our buses, we get that money reimbursed back to us. And since we are not a high school district, but we transport high school students, we also get half of what we would have got if we were a district with a high school in our capital budget to cover that expense. So when we talk later on this evening about our capital budget, part of the funds that come into that is because we are transporting high school students.
That's for your pay district.
No.
So you'll show us in the budget where that, it's in kind of reimbursement that comes in every year.
No, it's just added into the capital amount. Because it's literally on the budget forms when you're filling out the budget worksheets, it's a checkbox. Do you transport, or as an O3 district, do you transport high school students? And then it just automatically puts it in.
If there's no other questions, one huge thanks to Luke. He took this job over in the middle of the school year, right before DPS inspections, right before the 100th day report. And so he really saved us. And so thank you so much to Luke taking that position. Now we can this upcoming year will be so much easier. Now that he's got through that stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now it's time for our district appreciation. So, Sarita Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu donated a full-body gym station. Pretty nice gift. Robert Polkar Architects, a bunch of pizzas. And then Precision Flow, some plumbing equipment for the greenhouse. And that goes to the consent agenda. Before we do that, anybody have any comments on any of the consent agenda items? With that, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items. I will second it.
Thank you.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Peters? Yes. Ms. Amadeus?
Yeah.
Mr. McGivern?
Yeah.
Mr. Austin?
And I'm a yes. Next is new business. The first item is a action item to Prop 301 base pay allocation.
So you have the bars with you. I don't remember what the exact amount was. This is their 20%. It's $3,452.16. So that will be spread out over their pay periods. So this is the 20% part of their Prop 301.
Oh, we need a motion for the 301.
I'll make a motion to approve the Prop 301 base pay allocation.
I'll second
Second.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Peters?
that. Yes.
Mrs. Amadeus?
Yeah.
Mr. McGivern?
Yeah.
Mr. Osterling?
Yes. And next, that takes us to item B, request to dispose of some assets.
So before you tonight, there are a couple of requests. We just had some out-of-date technology that is no longer supported. So we're looking for your permission to go ahead and dispose of those.
I'll make a motion to approve that request.
I'll second it.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Peters?
Yes.
Mrs. Amadeus?
Yes.
Mr. McGivern?
Yeah.
And I'm a yes. And next is the fiscal year 27 budget.
So there are just a few changes from the adopted budget. So I'm going to go ahead and just scroll on down here real quick. So on Friday, I went through our purchase orders to see what we have already, have paid and what we were able to close. So so when we did the proposed budget, it was $577,500 in rollover. Tonight, it is actually $614,212. So that is actually in the updated budget packets. So what that does to our overall budget, it increased it to a budget limit of $6,382,143. So that is the only change from this budget to what was given to you at the proposed budget. So it is slightly higher, but we're bringing this to you tonight for your approval.
That's on page 8 that we looked at today.
We have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the adopted fiscal year budget of 2027.
I'll second.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Ms. Pierce,
Yes.
Ms. Alvarez,
Yes.
Mr. McGivern,
Yeah.
Mr. Osterling.
Yes. And the next one is approve the purchase order to Franklin Covey for the Leader in Me, which it looks like that is $15,462.
And that is a grant by ADE on our character ed grant, matching grant. Yes.
And I also want to put this out here, so we need to get approval for any purchase order over $10,000, which is why we're bringing it to you tonight. But the state also just recently passed legislation, so the limits have changed. So, you know, I'm gonna probably ask about increasing our purchase order limit to what we can approve prior to needing board approval. So it's gone from $10,000 to $15,000 before we need to start getting written quotes for within purchasing. And that is new as of July 1st.
And that's a state.
It's a state thing. So within board policy, you know, our board policy matches what the procurement limits were prior to needing the written quotes at $10,000.
Gotcha. And this is a,
Motion, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase order for Franklin Covey in the amount of $15,462.
I'll second that.
okay.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Ms. Peters,
Yes.
Ms. Alvarez,
Yes.
Mr. McGivern,
Yes.
Mr. Osterling.
Yes. Yeah, next is we talked about a lot this morning. Sorry you guys weren't here. But Michelle, thank you for being here. All that said is this is to talk about, and it is an action item on the middle school athletic cut criteria, it's called.
Sports selection.
I'm just reading this.
Yeah, yes. We changed the verbiage in the action.
And
So we need a motion.
so we need to talk about.
I move to approve the middle school athletic cuts criteria.
I'll second.
Mrs. Lewis,
We want to discuss it.
So we were gonna discuss it actually before, but that's okay.
Yeah, go. I would like to discuss it.
Okay.
So the cuts for the middle school, what's the reason for the cuts? I mean, I guess this is my first.
Basically, it was presented at that, especially with girls volleyball and girls basketball, that it's required, especially with volleyball, 4 teams, A, B, C, and D. And one of the problems is that it's tough to handle that many kids. 55, 60 kids, with one gym. And it's sixth grade through eighth grade. We talked about perhaps maybe more coaches, restructure things. And as a reminder, it's middle school for these sports, it's 6th through 8th. I don't know if you remember, we used to have some 5th graders that just paid. That's at least with volleyball. Girls basketball was similar. I don't remember the numbers, but it's low. It's 40 kids play. And it would be basically after 3 days or a week, the coaches would cut the kids that they didn't encourage. There's obviously more detail to all that. I'll make sure that it.
What's what's your overage rate? What do you think your cut rate would be?
Yes.
10, 15, 20? Is it a lot?
Mrs. Peters, you missed the.
Sorry.
There was a lot of conversation. We even had a coach that showed up today. Mrs. Freeland was present. It's hard to say, but it sounded like to me that her perfect number would be 30. Is that what I gathered from her presentation?
Yes.
For those that were there, 30 to 35, 10 kids on each team. As I presented earlier today, it's not just coaches that have asked for this, but I've had parents that came in this year. Probably about 6 different parents that talked about cut programs. Some of them felt their kids that are high achievers in that sport aren't getting the proper playing time because the coaches are trying to sub in other students. And then the majority of them were actually complaining because they wish that I would allow my coaches to cut their child who's only going to get a couple minutes playing time and save them having to be there. And didn't feel like that was fair to their child. So just different viewpoints there. As I present, I'm just going to be very transparent because you know me, that's how I am. I'm not crazy about it. I am the one that prepared the document. I'm the one that submitted. I did that on behalf of the parents and the coaches that are asking for change. Our volleyball coaches and one of our basketball coaches for girls really feels like this will help benefit them and able to do that. All the criteria that you see in there was not what they came up with. That's what I've talked to the coaches, kind of got their viewpoints, but I also talked to administration, and we tried to do this the best way possible with the most transparency to the parents, the kids, so they know what they're getting into, and then also that it's, as you see in the document, that it's not just a sign posted, but they have one-on-one conversations with the coaches that explain the why and what the kids can do to improve if they so want to come in the previous year. Currently in there, it also says that 6th graders would not be able to be cut because it's their first year participating in those sports. Some of our coaches expressed today that they're not happy with that that's the main group that they would want to consider reducing those numbers. So it's really up to you. The only thing that I ask is that while I'm up here, if you do decide to take the whole thing in its entirety, remember, because of this morning's conversation, someone needs to make an amendment, and the highlighted pink or red on Steve's, that would need to be read in as an amendment to the document if you do approve that. But once again, it's a lot of information out there. I understand why cuts may be necessary. I also think that it could be detrimental to some of our kids. I think that there are opportunities for our kids to that they'll never get in their lives to be a part of team sports. And so if there's other ways to create those opportunities, like for example, if you deny this document, then expect next month I will be back asking for a third coach for volleyball. I think there's other ways to deal with that. We're still limited on space, so we're gonna have to get creative and figure that out. But at the end of the day, it's a tough decision. It's the other middle schools, all of them cut. All the other middle schools in our league, they are running cut programs for the majority of their sports. We have not for all these years. But, I also support my coaches, which is why I presented this to you, because they honestly, they see it as a need. And
Is this something that we really have to vote on tonight? I mean, is this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you have the right,
I just,
you have the right to table it, obviously. But I will say, sports starts the middle of the first week of school. And so for us to be able to get the news out to parents, it would have to start going out even before school starts, at meet and greet. We would put some posters out to kind of talk about it, so that kids and parents, it's not blindsided that they come to practice and then all of a sudden, 4 days in, they're getting cut and they have no idea. So,
I understand the why, but I don't like it.
Ms. Samaras, you had something?
yes, I was gonna say what, Mr. Latham said, that most of the schools are already cutting. And,
Did she hung up on
She can go on this.
Drew, you there?
Who are you there?
It's cutting in and out. I don't know if it's my signal, I'm not sure.
Okay. Can we text Ruth and tell her she's not?
Right, no, she'll
she's gonna
come
figure it out because we're not talking about it today.
Well, I have more things to say.
Steve, I know you mentioned that some of the coaches, was it 3 out of how many coaches that we have that are asking for this?
So,
Hi, Ruth. Ruth, are you there?
in this upcoming season, in Q1, we have girls volleyball, which is asking, boys football, which is not asking, and cross country, which is obviously not asking. We actually have low numbers that 5th grade gets to participate with that. Okay. In Q2, we have boys basketball, which is not asking, but when asked about it, said, I would try everything not to cut, but if it got to that point, I would do what I had to do, was kind of the response, but I would try to avoid that. And then we have girls soccer, which also coaches girls basketball, very pro cuts. That coach is very pro cuts for both of those programs. Soccer is less likely to have those cuts, but the girls basketball, we get around 40. And honestly, for a basketball coach, the nice round number is 10 on each team. So you say 10 A team, 10 B team, and 10 C team. That's about 30 kids. So you'll be cutting anywhere from probably 10 to 15 kids on girls basketball to get that down. You got to think, and I'm going to put the play out there for my coaches that are pro for it. We have found that our teachers, when the class sizes are low, they have a lot more success. The kids that are in the class, that's what the coaches are going for. A targeted group of individuals, but it makes it so that some of our kids don't get that life skills of being on a team sport. So it's, I'm back and forth. I see the need for it. I see why they want to. My heart breaks for kids that are cut. And I'll just be transparent. I was a kid that got cut many, many years, put on the B team, C teams. And it sucks, and it's hard to come back. And if it wasn't for my parents, I would have quit. And I didn't, and my parents kept taking me back until eventually I made the team. And so, but that was my junior year. So all through junior high and high school, I was getting cut every year. There's going to be tiers, which is why I don't want them reading a sign with their peers and finding out because of their student ID numbers who didn't make the team. I think if we as adults are gonna make this decision, we as adults need to sit down and have that conversation with the kids and let them know what they can improve on to be able to have a chance. Tell them when the camps and clinics are coming up so that they have a chance. That's why I put all that in there with the support of Ms. Rico and Ms. Cuevas, and we all sat down and went over that document to come up with ideas for that. So.
And I think Ruth's back.
yes, I am back. I just wanted to say that as a counselor at a different school district, I never had a student come and talk to me about being cut from the team. I did have more students come in and talk to me that were on the team and didn't get to play because of all the other kids that were allowed to continue playing. So they thought that there wasn't, the coaches weren't able to give them quality instruction, spend time with them, because they had to accommodate the large roster. And I think that cutting makes the team size more manageable. So I'm in agreement with the coaches that want to implement this.
And Ruth, just to kind of add to that, I don't know if you've experienced this at your school in your position, but I did talk to the Alonzo Trail Athletic Director today, and after cuts, the administrators' phones get blown up with parent complaints and wanting to contest the cut results. And the parents are never happy when the cuts happen. And so, in your position as a counselor, I don't know how much of that interaction you have, but the parents come very upset because their child was denied that opportunity. So there's that double-edged sword there with that.
Anybody else?
Can I just say one thing? It's a procedural thing. We do have a motion and a second, but it does not include the amended version, so my suggestion would be to vote no and then re-motion to approve as amended.
Before we go down,
If that is your choice.
before we go down that route, there was a lot of conversation earlier today about ESA funds that it does address in this document as well. So I don't know if that's something that needs to be discussed or if we're just gonna go one way or another.
Part of the red highlighted part that we would add, if we do our two votes, basically it is only students that are enrolled at Continental School or traditional homeschool are eligible. That means ESA or charter school kids that live in our district, no.
They would
That's
be,
No.
they're not allowed to.
Not allowed.
Not,
Per this policy.
For the sports, the way that policy is written, that would be for the sports that are doing selective cuts for athletics.
so that would give our students,
That means we wouldn't cut a Continental student to take a student who attends GEA,
got it.
is what that means.
Okay, okay.
Those GEA students, if we're not doing cuts, would still be able to participate with us with cross-country, track, wrestling, those sorts of things. We're the only school that allows them to do that. I'll just put that out there. All the other schools, they don't, they only allow homeschooling students and the students that attend their school, and no ESA students whatsoever at Serena School District.
Just to be clear, the homeschooling kid is a state law that we have to. And remember, we're not getting any per student income.
Why are we mandated to,
It's a law.
but other schools don't?
No, they do for traditional homeschool,
For homeschool.
not ESA.
That's me, traditional
Sorry, it's just making-
technique is kind of like mom teaching a kid.
Got it.
Granted.
And there's some curriculum and things of that
Yeah,
nature
yeah.
that go
Okay,
into that.
okay, I was just making.
I think maybe for a later meeting, depending on is, if we wanted to talk about the ESA and the charter kids, is possibly, instead of just charging $25, maybe there's a different fee structure, maybe not. So that's just for later.
Personally, I would not be in favor of having different policies for the students. For you either are, I think that we should have one policy that we would only be able to participate if you are homeschooled or you're actually in attendance here. That would be my.
So you would make a motion to put on that regardless, that would apply, that rule would apply to all sports.
That's right. I would feel that way. Yes.
I would agree with that.
Yes.
That's assuming
That's assuming we even put this.
move forward. So we can make that, if we do the two vote thing, Greg was talking about, that would mean we could even add, it applies to all sports.
Correct. But the motion as it is now is the original document
Right.
without the
Without
ESA.
all that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna vote on the original one, and the thought is then have a second vote or second motion, review the addendum a little bit more, and then vote on it. Everybody good with that? Jen?
All right, so for the first motion, Ms. Lewis,
No.
Ms. Peters,
No.
Mrs. Amador,
No.
Mr. McGivens,
No.
Mr. Ostrowski.
And I'm,
So that's,
okay. So now we'll discuss, the changes, and then we'll have a motion, and then we'll have a vote. Does that work? So I'll read this, can you read it? I can't read it. It's just somewhere.
So we're reading the eligibility for participation. Only students who are enrolled at Continental School District or traditional homeschooled students are eligible to participate in athletic programs that require team selections. 2, students who are participating in ESA, attending another school district, attending a charter or private school, or participating in an online learning platform shall not be eligible to participate in team selection athletic programs.
so that,
It's per hers, if you change the last few words on that sentence, would not be able to participate in any sports.
Yeah, just take that last.
In any athletic.
But that will come in your motion to amend it to.
so that means they can't participate if they need to do cuts for that year.
Shall not be eligible to
So that's-
participate
yeah,
in any athletic programs.
Yeah.
And
Also-
students who are participating in ESA, attending another school district, attending a charter or private school, or participating in online learning platforms shall not be eligible to participate in any athletic programs, which is consistent with what Sawarita is doing as well, in terms of ESA, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Anybody have a motion?
Okay, so I move to approve
No, go ahead. The athletic team selection and participation criteria.
right, with the amended, do I say amended?
Yeah, with amended eligibility for participation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will you
I'll
say that
second so we
again?
can get a vote.
Could you say that again? I'm sorry.
So it is a move to approve the athletic team selection and participation criteria with the amended eligibility for participation to state that students are participating in ESA, attending another school district, attending a charter or private school, or participating in any online learning platform shall not be eligible to participate in any athletic programs.
And I'll second that so we can get to a vote.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Ms. Peters,
No, wait,
Hold on.
I know you're backwards, I think.
So a yes means you're for cuts,
For
no
cuts.
means you're against cuts.
No, I'm against the cuts, I'm sorry.
Ms. Lewis,
No.
Ms. Peters, no. Mrs. Amador,
Yes.
Mr. McGivens,
No.
Mr. Ostrowski.
No. Okay, thank you. Okay, next is the Washington DC tour to approve Gerber again as our vendor, which I believe we've had pretty good luck with.
Well, they were amazing last year.
They did come in at the highest, well, the second highest quote, but it's only by like $15. But with the rapport that we've had with them, and they offer us student scholarships, the 4 admin and staff team, sponsors each get their own room, which is
Awesome.
enough for me to say yes. But, and I have a great rapport with Janelle, so I would really like to continue working with Gerber.
And you're the sponsor again?
As of now, no, I think we haven't, that's something we need to still discuss.
That will be resolved in 2 weeks.
If he needs chaperones again, let me know. I can actually.
So here's a motion, item.
I'll make a motion to approve Gerber as the, tour for the Washington DC trip.
I'll second that motion.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mrs. Almaguez?
Yes.
Ms. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. McKibben?
Yes.
Mr. Osterling?
And I'm a yes. That takes us to our next action item, is the second read of the policy advisory ending in 10:46.
And again, these are standard policies that are being condensed to simplified version and to avoid repetitiveness of our then major words.
I'll move that we approve the policy advisory 961-1046.
I'll second that.
All right, Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Mrs. Peters,
Yes.
Ms. Almaris,
Yes.
Mr. McKibben,
Yes.
Mr. Osterling.
And I'm a yes. And what we all been waiting for, as if the budget approval wasn't enough, is the district financial report.
So the district financial report that you have in your packet is the last one until we actually complete the rollover. This will be done with all the completion reports and everything else. It is the last one that will actually show percentages and numbers with it, because nothing from the previous years is going to be rolled over into it. As you can see, we still ended up with a decent amount of funding within our catch up. We're gonna see if I can get it pulled up. So we still had $640,000 that's remaining. We still do have purchase orders that are outstanding. So that the amount that we put within our budget as far as carryover goes, looks like that's gonna be pretty dead on. So we're looking like we're gonna hit about a 10% carryover for this fiscal year within MMO.
Nice.
We need a motion? I'll motion that we approve the district financial report.
I'll second it.
Okay.
All right, Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Ms. Peters,
Yes.
Mrs. Amarias,
Yes.
Mr. McGibbon,
Yes.
Mr. Osterling.
And I'm a yes. Wow, all the big stuff's done. School starts soon, guys, so our biggest event, at least as a board, is the picture day on the morning of July 27th. What day are we doing?
Monday.
And on Thursday, the 30th, it is going to be our meet and greet time at 5:15, and we are looking at our meet and greet at Triple Play.
Okay.
So that is something that we're finalizing, but that's when we'll be on that day. And we're looking at the district providing appetizers and maybe drink tickets, beverages like soda and water and stuff for staff. So that as an incentive to get them to go, because it is expensive and a lot of people have a lot of children. So this way we can at least pay for the appetizers and stuff. And last year we had people take desserts, so we may try that again.
So one of the donations that we thanked this evening for Robert Polkar Architects, he actually donated $1,000 to go to the back to school teacher orientation week. So he wanted to make sure we could get about a couple of lunches, and whatever's left over from that, we're going to use towards purchasing appetizers.
And I do want to thank Jenna and Greg, because they have been working at trying to get the meals and the food sponsored for pre-service days for teachers. So we always do the Continental breakfast and different items, coffee, juice, and lunch items for them as well. If we don't feed the teachers, they eat the kids, so we want to feed them well, so they'll remember as time gets busy.
Great. Okay. Any discussion, anyone? Okay, with that, we have We have some paperwork to sign, guys.
Drew,
Yeah.
are you going to hang up on us now? Are you surviving?
Oh,
Are you?
I guess I've had enough here, guys.
I know, thank you. It's been a long day. We appreciate your attendance and time. You'll be home Friday?
Oh, Friday, Saturday, depending on how my business goes, we'll see. This weekend for sure.
Okay, safe travels.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
We already lost one.
Just an FYI,
That's why we need these.
Get back to work tomorrow.
Thank you, team. I know it's been a long day, so you don't have to stay until the bitter end.
Anthony, come out to take you to dinner.
Just say yes.
No, yes.
Yeah, EG's.
Where you going?
EG's.
Fiji's.
So we don't have to be to work tomorrow till then.
Till you.
So
You
there's,
said yes.
oh, I was gonna see who wanted
It is
to.
recorded.
8:00 is our scheduled start for
Lincoln,
8:30.
we have Lincoln MTSS
At
Right, it
8.
is.
at 8, or intervention manager.
Charge computers, there you go.
Charge money.
For all of us put together.
No, I think you'll be fine. You should be okay.
We talk anymore about getting some real forms?
Well, the county is in the process of changing over. So we're looking at possibly no longer even having to do those.
Do you know that it's all the board of supervisors meeting?
Yes, you can send the budget.
3-4 weeks into it.
That, we are adjourned at 47:56.